Welcome to A Year of War and Peace. I'm your host, Brian E. Denton. A Year of War and Peace is a daily, year-long, chapter-by-chapter reading of and meditation on Leo Tolstoy's epic novel, War and Peace. In these videos and podcasts, you'll be treated to a free reading of one chapter per day of the novel, plus a reflective essay I've written individually tailored to that day's chapter. These readings are offered for free, though if you'd like to support me, you can do so in one of three ways. First, you could purchase my ebook, A Year of War and Peace. It features the entire novel, plus all of my reflective essays, and it's only $2.99 on Amazon.com. You could also become a patron at patreon.com/Brian E. Denton. If you sign up there, you'll receive a sonnet once a month, plus a link to an ebook of my collected sonnets. Finally, if you like, you can make a one-time donation to my PayPal account. The email there is brianedenton@gmail.com. You can also use that email to contact me. I'd be happy to hear from you. Your support is greatly appreciated. Today's reading and reflection is on Chapter 145. Chapter 145. Princess Mary, as she sat listening to the old men's talk and fault-finding, understood nothing of what she heard. She only wondered whether the guest had all observed her father's hostile attitude toward her. She did not even notice the special attentions and amiability shown her during dinner by Boris Drubetskoy, who was visiting them for the third time already. Princess Mary turned with absent-minded questioning look to Pierre, who, hat in hand and with a smile on his face, was the last of the guests to approach her after the old prince had gone out, and they were left alone in the drawing-room. "May I stay a little longer?" he said, letting his stout body sink into an armchair beside her. "Oh, yes," she answered. "You noticed nothing?" her look asked. Pierre was in an agreeable after-dinner mood. He looked straight before him and smiled quietly. "Have you known that young man long, Princess?" he asked. "Who?" "Drubetskoy." "No, not long." "Do you like him?" "Yes, he is an agreeable young man. Why do you ask me that?" said Princess Mary, still thinking of that morning's conversation with her father. "Because I have noticed that when a young man comes on leave from Petersburg to Moscow, it is usually with the object of marrying an heiress." "You have observed that," said Princess Mary. "Yes," returned Pierre with a smile, "and this young man now manages matters so that where there is a wealthy heiress, there he is too. I can read him like a book. At present he is hesitating whom to lay siege to, you or Mademoiselle Julie Karegina. He is very attentive to her." "He visits them?" "Yes, very often." "And do you know the new way of courting?" said Pierre with an amused smile, evidently in that cheerful mood of good-humored raillery for which he so often reproached himself in his diary. "No, I don't know it," replied Princess Mary. To please Moscow girls nowadays, one has to be melancholy. He is very melancholy with Mademoiselle Karegina," said Pierre. "Really?" asked Princess Mary, looking into Pierre's kindly face and still thinking of her own sorrow. "It would be a relief," thought she, "if I venture to confide what I am feeling to someone. I should like to tell everything to Pierre. He is so kind and generous. It would be a relief. He would give me advice." "Would you marry him?" "Oh, my God, Count, there are moments when I would marry anybody," she cried suddenly to her own surprise and with tears in her voice. "Ah, how bitter it is to love someone near to you and to feel that," she went on in a trembling voice, "that you can do nothing for him but grieve him, and to know that you cannot alter this. Then there is only one thing left, to go away. But where could I go?" "What is wrong? What is it, Princess?" But without finishing what she was saying, Princess Mary burst into tears. "I don't know what the matter with me today. Don't take any notice. Forget what I've said." Pierre's gaiety vanished completely. He anxiously questioned the princess, asked her to speak out fully and confide her grief to him. But she only repeated that she begged him to forget what she had said, that she did not remember what she had said, and that she had no trouble except the one he knew of, that Prince Andrew's marriage threatened to cause a rupture between father and son. "Have you any news of the Rostovs?" she asked, to change the subject. "I was told they're coming soon. I am also expecting Andrew any day. I should like them to meet here." "And how does he now regard the matter?" asked Pierre, referring to the old prince. Princess Mary shook her head. What is to be done? In a few months the year will be up. The thing is impossible. I only wish I could spare my brother the first moments. I wish they would come sooner. I hope to be friends with her. You have known them a long time, said Princess Mary. Tell me honestly the whole truth. What sort of girl is she, and what do you think of her? The real truth, because you know Andrew is risking so much doing this against his father's will that I should like to know. An undefined instinct told Pierre that these explanations and repeated requests to be told the whole truth expressed ill will on the princess's part towards her future sister-in-law, and a wish that he should disapprove of Andrew's choice. But in reply, he said what he felt rather than what he thought. I don't know how to answer your question, he said, blushing without knowing why. I really don't know what sort of girl she is. I can't analyze her at all. She is enchanting. But what makes her so, I don't know. That is all one can say about her. Princess Mary sighed, and the expression on her face said, Yes, that's what I expected and feared. Is she clever? She asked. Pierre considered. I think not, he said, and yet, yes. She does deign to be clever. Oh no, she is simply enchanting, and that is all. Princess Mary again shook her head disapprovingly. Ah, I so long to like her. Tell her so if you see her before I do. I hear they are expected very soon, said Pierre. Princess Mary told Pierre of her plan to become intimate with the future sister-in-law as soon as the Rostovs arrived, and to try to accustom the old prince to her. All right, that concludes my reading of chapter 145. I hope you liked it. I will now proceed to my reflection on the same. A Year of War and Peace, Day 145. We have a thaw. Today, let's think about the relationship between personal development, mental tranquility, and self-reflection. Let's do so by looking at the life of a man who cut off his ear for a hooker and then shot himself in the chest while standing in a wheat field. That man, of course, is Vincent van Gogh, and his method of self-reflection was letter writing. Throughout his life, Van Gogh wrote hundreds of letters to his brother Theo. These letters are important not only because they provide biographical detail to the life of one of the great 19th century artists, but also because they showcase how vital thoughtful contemplation is for development of any sort. In his letters, we find a man working through, by means of hard thought and careful analysis, the problems of his craft. With each letter, we see him refine and develop his style to the point where he's able to produce masterpieces, such as Skull with a Skeleton with a Burning Cigarette, The Sower after Millet, and Almond Blossom. The same dedication Vincent van Gogh applied to reflecting and improving upon his painting, we can apply to our own lives in an effort to change for the better. In today's chapter, Pierre Bezukhov, that great striver of self-improvement, catches himself acting inappropriately. The moment comes as he speaks with Mary Bolkonsky. He has approached her to speak about courtship and marriage and any interest she may have in Boris Dubretskoy. He does so in a jesting way. This is an approach to conversation he does not approve of, and the reason he's able to catch it, we're told, is because he keeps a diary where he reflects on his living. Though the scene takes up a small portion of today's chapter, it is really important, especially in the case of Pierre's character arc. As we've seen from the very beginning of the novel, Pierre is a man who is intent on living virtuously. Part of his search is keeping a self-reflective diary and being honest with himself about his successes and his failures. By so doing, Pierre not only learns how to live better, but also how to build up robust and resilient responses to unpleasant situations. This is a practice the other characters in the novel would do well to adopt, particularly Mary. She's in a bad place right now in terms of her sorrowful life, and, spoiler alert, that sorrow is about to get taken to the next level. So, in addition to urging her to engage in more self-reflective meditation in order to better steel herself against life's horrible vicissitudes, I'd also leave her with one of our friend Vincent's gems of insight. To many, it would no doubt appear foolish and superstitious to believe in any improvement for the better. Sometimes in winter, it's so bitterly cold that one says, it's simply too cold. What do I care whether summer comes? The bad outweighs the good. But whether we like it or not, an end finally comes to the hard frost, and one fine morning, the wind has turned and we have a thaw. Daily Meditation. Let not sleep come upon thy languid eyes before each daily action thou hast scanned. What's done amiss? What's done, what's left undone? From first to last, examine all, and then blame what is wrong, and what is right, rejoice. Epictetus, The Discourses. All right, so that concludes my reading of and reflection on chapter 145 of War and Peace. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining me. Remember that if you'd like to support me, you can do so either by purchasing the ebook, A Year of War and Peace, becoming a patron at patreon.com, or making a one-time donation at PayPal. The links to all that are down below in the show notes. Tomorrow, we're going to be reading and reflecting on chapter 146. I hope you'll join me. Until then, take care of yourselves and others.